Welcome to Hope is Here. We're continuing our conversation with Gerald Gibson. He is the founder and executive director of OMAC. That stands for Operation Making a Change, providing hope here to youth and those that also are incarcerated, giving them hope when they get out to know that they can have a second chance. And if you missed yesterday's program, I really want to encourage you to go to our website, hopeishere.today. That's hopeishere.today. Listen to this 14-minute program. Just incredible, the obstacles that Gerald Gibson overcame to have this dream that he put together in prison called OMAC, Operation Making a Change. And today, Gerald, or Geo as you're known here in our community, you had this great vision that God gave you after you got on your knees on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, 1999. I was like you, Y2K, had the bottled water, cans of Vienna sausage. Man, are we going to lose power? And, we're going to be able to have to eat out of the cans and drink lots of water. But when the clock struck midnight, fortunately, obviously, we know nothing happened. But you put this plan together, yet it was a process. It just didn't happen overnight, did it, when you tried to implement this program?
No, sir. Everything had to be done in order. I knew all the things that I've done in my life, I now had to prove myself, not only to me, my family, but to God. And, I had to work my way up. I had to show people that I was a different person, man. And that wasn't easy. Taking a hard look at myself, man, was pretty ugly. I'm like, wow, I didn't like what I saw, all the damage that I was creating, all the pain that I was inflicting on others and well as myself. But man, I just buckled down, man, and just start taking the necessary steps, one step at a time, one day, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 year at a time, man, and just kept on climbing regardless of, sometimes I got discouraged, but I had to surround myself with the right people. I had to surround myself with pastors and ministers and, police officers, educators and, whatnot, different people.
So originally you started this up was it in Wisconsin when you got out?
Yes. When I got out of prison, I started in Wisconsin, in the Racine area. So shout out to Racine, Wisconsin. I definitely started there. They gave me a big opportunity to work at 21st Preparatory School off of 6th Street. So I was excited about that. Also did some work with the former chief of police and the now the chief of police. I did some community stuff, but I still had a lot of growing up to do. I was still learning, I was still falling short, whatnot. But I stayed the course. I stayed the course no matter what, man. Because normally when I fall, I just completely give up. Like, oh well, this is not for me.
Right.
But God had a plan all along. So I just kept on going forward, man. And everything just started to work out. I mean, today it's even blowing my mind.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can't wait to talk more about that later today and tomorrow. We're going to talk a lot about what's going on here in Lexington. So how did you wind up getting to Kentucky?
Well, in 1991, it's a crazy story. Some associates of mine were in Chicago, and
business partners.
I'm
sorry, man. I couldn't say that.
And so they were like, "Hey, we should go to Chicago. We should go to Lexington, Kentucky, and sell drugs and get money." And I'm like, "What's in Kentucky? Horses?" So yeah. But I ended up going. I was in a place in my life to where nothing was going good anyway. So what the heck? Yeah. I just felt like I didn't have nothing to lose. So I ended up going to Lexington, coming to Lexington, Kentucky, living in the projects, of course, selling drugs. And but even though I was still doing the same stuff, man, I just felt like I was dying out here. And I said, I said to myself, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die in my own backyard. So I went back home, and that's when everything started taking place as far as me going to prison and all that type of stuff. I started going to prison, in 1994. So, but yeah, that's how I found Lexington, Kentucky, man. It was on a humbug, pretty much, yeah.
And then how did you wind up coming back the second time?
Well,
then? What brought you back
this
here?
time around, and I believe this is all God's doing, because it's ironic that I'm back here all these years later doing what I'm doing and being in position. But I stayed in contact with some people here, and I said to myself, there's more to me than where I was at. And I'm an adventurous person. I like to go search and find and stuff like that. So I stepped out on faith, and I came here, and I started at a gas station. But the week that I got here, I got a call from the superintendent back home. He was now living in Illinois, and he offered me a job. I refused the job and stayed here. I just felt like God had a plan for me. My footsteps are ordered. And so I just stayed, man, and everything else is history, man. I ended up meeting a police officer. He came in the gas station that I was working at. After 6 months, me frustrated, and God humbled me like, hey, people in gas stations need help too. So here I am sitting in this gas station, and I'm trying to be the best gas station attendant there is. And then this officer comes in, and I stop him. And I ask him, I say, hey, I'm looking for places where I can work with kids and people. I have so much valuable information that I can share with people to help them. And he wrote down all my information, man. He did all his background checks from Illinois to the Wisconsin area. And then, he gave me a phone call back about a week later, and he ended up connecting me with the captain, man. And everything else is history, man. Unbelievable.
All right, two things as you were sharing that really jumped in my spirit, Geo. One is that you got here because you stepped out in faith, but then you got something that was safer,
yes,
a position, to go back where you were, a good job, kind of what you wanted, but you turned that down.
I did. Like I said, I believe God works in mysterious ways. He don't make no mistakes. And I was already here for a whole week or whatnot. I just didn't want to go backwards. I just felt like I still have this dark cloud hanging over my head where I came from. And I just didn't want that to be a hindrance of me growing as a person and as a man, because I have so many bad memories of where I came from. Although that's home, but I stayed put.
Well, I love that because I put together an acronym for HOPE when people are at their wits' end thinking about suicide, and just use the word HOPE, HOPE, and one H, just hold on for 24 more hours. O, open up to somebody else and just let one person know. But the letter P, it says, I say, put yourself in a new environment.
Yes.
And that's what you did.
Yes.
You came and put yourself in a new environment.
I did. Best decision I ever made. Sometimes you just got to change your environment. There's nothing wrong with that. But you also have to continue to take a look at yourself and deal and work on yourself every day, because no matter where you go, you're going to still have those issues if you don't have your mind right.
Yeah, you're outside, like your environment can change, but you still have to deal with the inside issues, correct?
Yeah. Get your mind right. A friend of mine has a program called Girl, Get Your Mind Right. So that's what made me think of it. Shout out to her.
Yeah. I like that. Girl, get your mind right.
Yeah.
Well, and the second thing that you shared, you're at this gas station, you're working as an attendant, and, it's not a great job, but you're thankful for the job. But, you were like, oh, man, I got to do something different. And then you shared with God, said, the people at the gas station, they matter to me too, right?
That's right.
Well, love them first. So sometimes you got to be faithful in the small things, don't you, for God can promote you?
Oh, no doubt, man. I had to, God humbled me. He always reminded me, remember, I'm driving. You asked me to drive. You stay in that passenger seat. So I just, like I said, I definitely just became the best gas station attendant that.
And how were you at the time?
I was 33, maybe.
Okay, all right. Yeah, good. So you're not like a young man. You are, but you're not. And I say that just to encourage people that are listening, like, man, when do I get my chance or break? Here, Geo was at 33 and wanting to do big things, had this great plan, operation, making a change, yet it was a process. So don't get discouraged. Don't quit. Sometimes you got to be still and just know that He's God. But, Captain, Greg Howard, talk to us.
I don't want to butt in here too much, but a couple of things that come to mind is that growing old is certain, but age is certain, but wisdom isn't, and I think that what our pastor actually quoted, that James Williams quoted that just recently, and I've used it a bunch, but he also quoted a little line about to execute anything that we want to do in life requires timing, which y'all have already talked about, which made me think about it. And then the other thing is listening. So what I know that Geo's made real change. I mean, he's made as much change as any person I know ever. And a lot of that is he's willing to truly listen to you. I mean, it's not like you say something to him and it goes in one ear and out the other. I mean, you say it to him and he processes it. Now, he may not do everything that we recommend or that other people recommend, but for the most part, man, his level of wisdom has grown in the last, 7, 8, 9 years. Yeah. I mean, it's just unbelievable the change in him when it pertains to doing the work, God's work here. through all this is just he's willing to listen and take people's advice. I really appreciate that.
And I'm still a work in progress. That's something that I encourage a lot of people to understand. I mean, we're always going to be a work in progress. God is not done with me yet either. Just because I'm in a position and I'm doing what I'm doing, I want to be a much better human being and be obedient to what God really wants me to do. So.
Well, and I want to encourage somebody that's listening to hear that, because you think, wow, he's done all this. But so many times, at least in my life, maybe you can relate to this, Geo. You take a couple steps forward, but then you make a mistake or make a bad decision or say something you shouldn't, and you take, a step backwards. But as I always tell people, 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards, you're still 1 step forward.
Yeah, 1 step ahead, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and yet the enemy is so good. It's, you messed up. I know, you made a little progress there, but man, you're back at the, back of the line again. And yet that's not true. I mean, that's just part of the process, isn't it?
I heard a guy named Kyle Maynard say this. He said a lot of people get frustrated and they look how far they have to go, but instead of looking back and looking how far we've actually come. So, I've come a long way, and like I said, I'm very thankful. I'm very humble. I'm very pleased, but I'm also on fire for what God has for me. So I'm just a strong, driven person, very passionate about what I'm doing right now.
Well, that definitely comes across, and love that about you. But, one of the things you've shared with me when we met a few weeks ago was some Bible verses, Revelation 21:5, behold, I make all things new, and Proverbs 8:27, as a man thinketh, so is he. Talk about those a little bit.
Well, I always realize this. God has done his part for me. Now I got to continue to believe in the process. And whatever you think in your heart, and this is Bible, this is not my words, but God says that whatever a man thinketh, so he is. So if you're constantly thinking that you're a nobody and you can't accomplish, you won't succeed or whatever, then those are the things you're going to carry every single day, and those are the results you're going to get. So every day I'm just, God has made me new. He's made me new, so I can't stand up and say I'm this. No, that used to be me. That is not me no more. I don't care what it says in black and white. You know what I'm saying? I'm a child of God, and God says in his Bible that I will make all things new. But you just have to want that. I wanted that.
Yes.
I want this, and I want more. So every day I'm striving for more. I'm trying to spread that hope to others, because it'll be selfish of me to try to keep this all to myself. I try to spread this to everybody.
How have you seen him do that, Greg?
Well, he lives a life like that. A lot of what we get done in life is more what people see in you as what you say, and so they see Geo living out his what he feels like God has called him to do, and he's not afraid to. He's not an unwavering person where he gets to a point where he feels pressure to not be himself or to not be a man of God. He doesn't feel that, and that's really and truly one of those things that a lot of people forget to do. And one of the things that Geo really does, I believe, is he's not a one-sided kind of human. I mean, the whole culture, all across every culture, he's all but willing to help whoever, black, white, anybody that he feels like God is pushing him to deal with or to work with, he does it. And I've seen it. I did retire, sort of, but I still see him and talk to him a lot, and I love hearing his growth stories, and he's just living it out.
All races, all faces from all places.
Yeah, I couldn't think of what you give me a card for.
Say that again.
All races, all faces from all places.
Yes. Wow.
So many people.
We're going to have to end on that. I'm sorry to cut you off. Hold on.
I can't see the clock.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about this, though, man. We got lots more. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We're going to continue our conversation with Gerald Geo Gibson. He is the founder and community program coordinator for OMAC, Operation Making a Change. And we're talking also with the Captain Greg Howard, served 41 years in the criminal justice system. So, man, we're going to talk a lot more about how they're providing hope. So invite somebody to join us again tomorrow as we continue our conversation on Hope is Here.
CMI is your full-service human resources provider in Central Kentucky. For 15 years, CMI Human Resources has taken great pride in helping organizations and people work. Whether it's employee handbooks or help in filling a position, no job is too large or too small for CMI. Contact the professionals today at CMI Human Resources, 859-296-2800, or online at cmiconsulting.com.